Hey, howdy hey, and welcome back to Emily's Adventures in Horrorland. It's the most wonderful time of the year, apparently, and I likely won't get another video out before the 25th, so allow me to wish everyone a very happy holiday. I do prefer Halloween, but I'm not above a small, controlled amount of festivity. And Bernard absolutely adores the season, don't you, Bernard? Yay! Peace on earth and goodwill to all inanimate evil skulls. Mwah! What's that? Well, I know you're annoyed. Why do you think I put this on you? It turns out that holiday horror is its own subgenre, and it goes back as far as the 1970s, including the previously reviewed Black Christmas. And yes, I am still jealous of the protagonist's gorgeous tresses. But anyway, I've been requested to review something that came out just 1 year ago, Krampus, a horror comedy about the demonic creature of the same name. I was told how good it was, how much it reminded viewers of Evil Dead 2, and how I should just go and watch it already. Now that I have, I was actually pleasantly surprised. And the reason I was impressed can be boiled down to one simple word, and we'll get to that later. So go ahead and watch the film yourself, and I'll meet you back here in 3, 2, 1. God damn it, I can never time these right. The film begins by showing us the true horror of Black Friday-esque consumerism. That is one determined customer right there. Also, is that Rob Zombie being buried in the crush of people? Certainly looks like him. So, yeah, Xmas sucks, pretty much. After the debacle at the nativity recital, the family who serve as this film's protags come home to find the grandmother, Omi, making some nourishing-looking Austrian pastries. So the family has Austrian heritage. Well, that ties into the title character quite nicely.
Looks great, Mom.
Danke.
Don't work too hard, though. Sarah bought a bunch of cookies at the store. It's Roger.
Excuse me, after she spent all that time making those for you? How dare you refuse Omi's Linzer cookies? Footfetzen. I'm going to say right now that Omi is my favourite character. Max, our lovable, good-hearted, prepubescent hero, is just fine, and the two have a good relationship. But Omi has a sense of quiet dignity, and you get the sense that she knows far more than she's letting on. Spoiler alert, she does.
Der Geist des Gebens und des Opferns.
I also like that she and Max comfortably speak to one another in their preferred language, which I notice a lot amongst bilingual families, and Max having to translate for her is often a plot device. Then we get to meet the rest of the horrible, horrible family who are staying over for Christmas. Many of them seem to take their cues from the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
The whole truck smells like shit.
Shitter was full!
And yet somehow this family's unpleasant characteristics seemed far more exaggerated. Perhaps most notable is Aunt Dorothy, played by Conchata Ferrell, doing the same snarky performance as for her character in 2.5 Men. Which I only watch very occasionally, I swear. The family does get a laugh every now and then.
Probably just squirrels.
Right. Probably playing with their nuts.
However, in these initial scenes, I just couldn't get past how obnoxious they were, and I've never found that kind of thing funny.
Hey, hear what happened to Santa? His sleigh crashed in the Rockies. Shattered both his legs. So to survive, he had to slaughter and eat his reindeer, including Rudolph.
Can I just skip over this part of the movie, please? Max's cousins dig out his letter to Santa Claus and begin to read it aloud, which Max's father and sister just sort of allow, and this naturally upsets everyone at the table.
I wish things weren't so hard for Uncle Howard and Aunt Linda. So maybe you can lend them a hand the rest of the year, too. And that.
Screw you, Dad does not wish we were boys.
Who wants creme brulee?
Oh, creme brulee, I'd like some.
Hey, Max.
When it's convenient. Max storms up to his room to ruminate on how despicable his relatives are, and decides that he doesn't want the best for them after all. He's lost his faith in Christmas. What follows is a swirling white snowstorm, which reminds me a lot of The Nightmare Before Christmas for some reason. Yeah, that snowman isn't helping matters. Up until this point, we've had barely a hint of horror, and then all of a sudden, this blizzard comes out of nowhere, and nobody has any phone reception, heating, or electricity. Oh no. The daughter Beth goes outside to check on her stoner boyfriend, and something, presumably Krampus, goes after her. I'm encouraged by the fact that you can barely see the creature, but on the other hand... Well, that one was a jump scare waiting to happen, technically, I suppose. The family sit at home, worriedly waiting for Beth to return, and oh look, another snowman has mysteriously appeared in... Is it just me, or does that look like the guy from the What Are You Thinking video? Oh, I don't feel well all of a sudden. Hold on. Take some Tic Tacs, that'll help. Sorry. Whew, not good, not good. Okay. After a little while, the two fathers go out to look for Beth in a vehicle called Lucinda. They find some curious clues outside. For example, the windshield of a snowplow which has been broken in from the outside, hoof prints in the frosted floor of a ransacked house, and of course...
Beth! Beth!
Yes, this is the music I wanted earlier. If Krampus is hanging around in the outdoors, though, he's not alone, as something is seen tunneling under the snow and trying to snatch Howard. Fortunately, Tom shoots the something and scares it off, because guns solve everything. Okay, that one was funny. The two come storming back into the house in hysterics, and then try to change tack when the family start asking questions.
Not here.
Christmas, what happened out there?
Nothing. It's just a scratch. Probably a bear trap under the snow.
Hang on one tinsel hanging minute there. You can't make a scene like that and then just go, oof, not in front of the kids.
We don't have bears here.
That don't look like bear fur.
Oh, come on, you just want to tell us what's really going on here.
Everybody in the kitchen right now, Max, okay?
Come on, let's go, girls.
There he is again, the snowman, and I'm not thinking about anything. The situation certainly looks dire, but they make the sensible decision to stay where they are until the blizzard stops. Not only do the family do the smart thing, but at this point in the film you also start to like them more. They learn to put aside their differences, actually show some redeeming traits, and when they do use snarky comedy, it's mostly to offset the grim circumstances. People do use humour as a coping mechanism, so it almost fits.
You know, Linda and I, we butt heads, but I can't imagine a life without her.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yay! Christmas spirit! What do you know? Adversity and fucking horned demons do bring out the best in man. All this time, Omi has been warning the family to keep the fireplace burning bright. Otherwise, something bad will happen. So guess what they do?
One of us should probably stay up and keep watch.
It's a good idea. I'll go first.
No, you go ahead and catch some winks with your family.
Don't you do it, little man. Oh, he did it. The little boy Howie Jr. is snatched despite their best efforts, and the tree predictably goes up in flames. I'm sure we've all seen those public information films about just how quickly they burn, so it's a wonder Max had the time to put it out at all. Finally, at the height of their confusion, only one relative has the answers.
Please, listen.
English. I knew it.
Here, Omi explains what the Krampus is and how he devastates the lives of those who have lost their Christmas spirit. In Omi's case, it happened in the midst of wartime, when hope was at an all-time low. Krampus captured and killed her loved ones, but left Omi alive to serve as a reminder. Now, at this review's introduction, I said I had one word to describe why I like this modern-day horror, and that word is effort! First of all, it's not a remake, which is always a good thing in my opinion. Ahem. And second of all, this film tries really hard to be creative in terms of visual style, story, music, and many other areas as well. For God's sake, Omi's story comes complete with a stop-motion animation flashback sequence. It looks gorgeous and really adds to the atmosphere. Moreover, the creature effects came from the same company which provided props, costumes, sets, etc. for the Lord of the Rings film trilogy. We'll talk more about Krampus specifically when he arrives, but you know what? The film chooses not to show him for a surprisingly long time, which sets the audience's collective imagination spinning. It probably bears mentioning that before I watched this, I elected to do none of my own research on Krampus, how he looks and how he works. All I knew about him was that he was goat-like and punished naughty children. But anyway, we'll come back to him. The family do not like Omi's story, but just as Howard prepares to exit the house... Oh, now that's clever. The adults make a plan to break out of the house and plough their way to safety, as you do. While they do this, Max's cousins, Stevie and Jordan, go on an expedition of sorts upstairs and are lured away by something nasty. Incidentally, the whole joke with them is that their father wishes they were boys. Ha 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 ha. The ones responsible for snatching the girls are Krampus' many helpers, and they are genuinely hideous. Especially that one, who's implied to be the one snaking its way through the snow outside. And would you believe they all get names in the credits? But before I knew that, I had to make up my own names for them. The Creepy Jester! The Angowl! Berry Christmas. And elves too? God, how many are there at this point? 14? All the adults get an opportunity to show off their badass fighting skills. And even the innocent-looking doggo manages to devour a living gingerbread man on fire. There's a good pupper. And all the while, my favourite Christmas song, Carol of the Bells, plays in the background. This, incidentally, would get a dark reprise over the credits, with alternative lyrics, which is another point in the film's favour. By the time all of Krampus' helpers sod off, they've taken a toddler, Howie Jr., Beth, Jordan, and Aunt Dorothy. That is a lot of dead kids. And one dead pan snarker, who is also dead. The family decide to make a break for the snowplow, all except for Omi, who decides to buy them some time by waiting for Krampo. He finally crawls his way down the chimney, dripping chains and sporting a magnificent pair of curled horns. He's also pretty rotund, which I wasn't expecting somehow, but he is supposed to be the shadow of St. Nicholas, so it makes a little sense. His face is also more human-looking than in traditional depictions of Krampo, but it's possible that he could be wearing a mask. Blech. The family continue to make their escape, and when they do split up, which is usually something I take umbrage with in horror films, it is with a clear purpose. Tom, for instance, tells his family to go on without him, thereby making a sacrifice, which is, after all, what Crimbo is all about. This is slightly negated by the fact that, at this point, Krampo doesn't give a fat load of snowballs about sacrifice, and he kills off the entire family. Even when the pure-hearted Max tries to take back his wish and sacrifice himself to save his relatives, Krampo just laughs and boots him into hell.
Bye-bye.
Oh, but what's this? It was all a horrible nightmare. Krampus gave in and gave Max the happy ending that he deserves? Well, possibly not. Max opens one of his presents and finds a bauble, much like the one given to Omi all those years ago. And the whole family remembers what happened, and then we pan out to show that the house is sitting inside a snow globe in not the creeper's lair. Good old twist endings. Where would we be without you? Is the sense of humour in the film to my taste? Not always, in fact not even 50% of the time. Are the characters particularly memorable or inspired? Not really. But do I recommend the film though? I do! When I compare this film to something as awful as the Black Christmas remake, it becomes apparent to me that Krampus really tries. It's very cosy and Christmassy without being obnoxious, and this extends to the visual style as well as the music. The main monster is built up effectively, and his helpers are pretty damn horrifying themselves. Some of them seem to come straight from Evil Dead or Gremlins with the way they giggled and jittered. And although the characters could be annoying assholes, they do all get something close to a redemption arc, which is nice to see. It would have been so easy to make a one-note film about the Yuletide Punisher that is Krampus, but this film works in some good messages about the meaning of Christmas and learning to love or at least tolerate your fellow man as they insult your turkey-making skills. For those reasons, I give this film 8 jam sandwiches out of 10. If there's anything horror-related that you'd like me to cover, do let me know in the comments section below. I do appreciate your requests and recommendations. In fact, I appreciate you all being here. This is a small channel by all accounts, but every time somebody watches or likes or leaves a comment on my video, it really warms my tiny little raisiny heart. Have a very Merry Christmas, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio. No, Bernard, I'm not saying that. Nobody wants you to do a Q&A, for God's sakes. I'll peace and goodwill you in a minute.